Boom, and welcome to another video of the Flowing Dutchman. Now in this video I'm going to explain and lay out a path on how to master the art of Indian club swinging. What I got into as I started to evolve my practice with Indian club swing. And actually, if you do the same thing, it doesn't really matter what it is or what you call it. The most important thing is, can you do it, and can you then do the next thing? Like, does it lead up to something? And I could say that, you know, in the journey of mastering the art, that has kind of been really important for me. And Indian clubs, it's a vast topic. There's a lot to say about them. I remember getting my first club bell in. It was 4 kilos, and I kind of started to use it as a light club. So I started to practice, you know, the heart shapes and kind of these movements. And of course, it was way too heavy to really practice that and get the technique right. But that is kind of how the journey for me started. I just bought a few club bells, I bought some maces, and I used them directly in the group training classes that I taught, and people loved it. And at some point I got in contact with a company that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, but it was Heroic Sport, and they actually made these plastic handles that you can screw on bottles, and it was great for group training classes. So that's kind of how I started to really teach the Indian clubs to more people, and that was also kind of what allowed me to start really going into the practice, and especially with the coaching, of course. Like, I recently saw this video of me when I went on my first US trip to visit a lot of coaches and people from the US to learn about the mace, and I brought these handles with me, and I saw this clip of me doing, you know, some form where I was moving from side to side, using some lunges, using some of the things that I knew from mace flow, and kind of putting that onto, you know, Indian clubs or light clubs. Of course, I had not much idea yet of what it exactly was and what the possibilities are, but I usually just, you know, try these things out, and I improve as I work on it. And, you know, feeling is in a way understanding, because you kind of know what feels good. But I wasn't really well known yet with what the exact foundation of the practice was, because you got to remember, the art of Indian club swinging or light club swinging dates back to about the 1800s, where the British got the big clubs from India and they started to implement them, and then suddenly it became part of this giant movement, the physical culture. It was really popular. Like, it was in books, it was even in the Olympics in the 1900s. There's actually a lot of books that you can buy with all the techniques in there. There's like champion swingers of, you know, 1880 or something, and there's books with all the techniques, with all the circles and everything kind of explained, and it's beautiful. And it's actually a really cool little bit of history that's written down very elaborately and eloquently compared to you know, the other arts from India, for example, which there basically is no documentation. There's a little bit of documentation, but there's not really any pictures, or like, people kind of have to guess what a movement is if it's written in Sanskrit, and that's just very different as it comes to Indian clubs. So there already was kind of a system with which to work with. All the possibilities were kind of laid out, and the pictures were relatively easy to understand. So that's kind of what I got into as I started to evolve my practice with Indian club swing. And I gotta say, I got good pretty quickly. I've got a few videos that, you know, I posted where I was, you know, doing all these complicated asynchronous swings, and I started to connect things together in a way. But for me, and that's always the case, it really started to make a difference when I started to create courses on it. When I got really, you know, when I had to kind of go back to the real basic foundation start, like, what's the movement that you know, teach, like I did in the group classes. What is that movement? How do you really go deep into it? And what is the next step and the next little step? Because you can't just, you know, start to teach someone this and then, you know, I'll just do this and then curl around and then reverse the direction and then come here. And if you can do this relatively quickly and easily, that's fine. But do you really know what you're doing? And that's what I found out as I dove deeper into it, is that I was able to swing, yes. I was able to do complicated movements, yes. It looked cool, yes. But I didn't really understand what I was doing. I was kind of flowing, and when you say flowing, it usually means that you're creating in the moment. So you're kind of moving to what feels good, right? And you're kind of using the skills that you build up to a certain degree and to a certain point, and you're putting that into your flow. But the real flow starts when you actually can understand what you're doing and you can move towards something. And that started to happen when I dove really deep into creating Light Club 6, where I kind of started to figure out the idea of the swinging directions and started to put it together and connected that to the Dutch flow method that I already had done with Maze Flow. And another thing that was really, really important for me, and I would advise you that too, is find a mentor. Find someone who understands and who you see as, you know, wow, I'm not sure what he's doing, but I want to know more. And whenever there's someone that is doing that and that you can see like, oh, it's a really good idea to learn from them, right? And I visited, finally, after all these years, my friend and mentor, Paul Taraswokowinski, who I had been inspired by from the start, because he had been, you know, doing this for quite a while now, and like 12, 13, 14 years. And he had been going to the ancient countries in Iran and India to document some of the history behind this. And he had been diving deep into all the old books from Britain and from the US from, you know, the 1800s. And yeah, this was one of the persons where I was like, wow, yeah, he you know, he knows. So if he knows, then I'll just go there. So I went to Perth and we had a great time, and we connected in such a deep way. And yeah, we just had so much fun talking about all these different ways, and like, oh, you came up with this movement, and what's this movement called, and how do you call this? And then you get these different vocabularies of how you actually named something that come together, which is when, you know, it was, you know, it's really funny, because eventually if you do the same thing, it doesn't really matter what it is or what you call it. The most important thing is, can you do it, and can you then do the next thing? Like, does it lead up to something? And that's that was very important. That's also when I really got to understand the value of swing on tempo, because that's also one part of mastering the art of light clubs. And it's really, really important that you learn how to swing rhythmically. And it's one of the things that is beneficial, you know, that makes it the beneficial practice that it is. Because if you do something on tempo, on rhythm, that does everything for your brain in a good way. Just like playing an instrument does that for you. If you any trick that you're learning yourself, a skill that you're learning yourself, and especially if you do it on music or in tempo, that actually does a lot for you. So that was a really, really important step for me to go through and to visit him. And actually visited him again last year, which was also a lot of fun, and we had a great time together. But yeah, I could say that, you know, in the journey of mastering the art, that has kind of been really important for me, and it's taken quite a lot of years to get to the point where I am now. And I do understand that, because this practice, you know, it's one of the difficult ones of the swinging arts. It goes really, really deep, and especially because it's two clubs. And doing right differently from left can be easy, but if you want to do left and differently from right, do exactly the same thing on the opposite side, and then connect that together, and then create the same transitions on both sides, and it just starts to become this elaborate practice with endless possibilities, and you don't know where you are again. So that you're going to find that if you're going to go deep and dive deep into the art of light club swinging, India club swinging, you're going to find that. You're going to get into this bum and you're like, whoa, what is this? How do I get myself out of this? And how do I find structure in it? So at last, I then want to talk about you know, what I found and what I discovered. And I think I laid it down in a way that I would have wanted when I started, and that's usually what I say with these courses. It's like, I'm trying to find something that I was looking for when I started, you know, because if it takes you, 5 to 6 years to get to a point, not everybody has that time, not everybody has the dedication, not everybody's teaching this. So there's so many factors that limit a person to really understand and go deep into a practice. So I made a 101, a 6, and then a 6 level 2, and a 6 level 3 will be there as well at some point. And it's kind of this stages where every week you learn 3 workouts per week, and you kind of move to the next step, but it's so small, the next step. Everybody will be able to pursue the entire level if you put enough time into it. Like, some will go through it quicker, but it's not meant to be 6 weeks, it's 6 stages, so you can take as long as you want. But the steps are there for you to master, and you know that what the next step is. And I think the most important thing is really understanding the foundations, because if you understand the foundations, you can build from there, and then everything you do, but also everything you see. So everyone that does any kind of complicated Indian club swing flow or technique, you can always bring it back to the foundations, and that just works magically on your practice. So I highly advise you to go through one of these courses and try that out, practice it, and get going with the club swinging. I wish you very good luck on your journey to master the art of light club swinging, and I hope to see you in another video. Are you always dazzled by the seeming complexity of light club swinging? Light Clubs 101 will bring an end to that. Light clubs or Indian clubs are an extremely effective way to strengthen and restore your arms and shoulders. However, this art can become incredibly complex. To create safety, skill, and structure, it's therefore necessary to have a proper foundation. Light Clubs 101 is designed to do exactly that. You will learn how to distinguish between crossing and parallel swinging directions and how to transition between them. I believe this course is capable to make anyone understand and master the absolute foundations of light clubs. What are you waiting for? Join now on DutchFlowAcademy.com. Thank you for your attention, it's greatly appreciated. If you like the content, please consider to share, like, and subscribe to my channel. If you want to see similar videos, you can see them over here. If you're interested in learning more from me as a coach, I've got online courses on DutchFlowAcademy.com. Keep flowing, Ram Ram.